There's a photo that gets passed around every few years. A man in a 15-year-old sedan, gas station coffee in the cup holder, wearing a jacket he's had since before his kids were born. People share it and laugh. Must be nice to be broke like that. Except he's not broke. He's worth 9 figures, and the $2 coffee isn't cheapness, it's camouflage. Here's the part nobody tells you. The richer people actually get, the harder they work to look like they're not. Not because they're humble, because visibility is a liability. And once you understand that one idea, a lot of what looks like eccentric billionaire behavior suddenly makes perfect, cold, calculated sense. Today we're going deep into the darkest secrets of wealthy people. Not the yachts and the watches, that's the version they let you see, the version that's designed to be seen. We're talking about the stuff that stays behind closed doors, the stuff that only comes out in lawsuits, leaked documents, and the rare unguarded interview a family's PR team wishes never happened. Some of what's on this list will sound clever, some of it is going to sit differently with you, and it should. By the end of this video, you're going to look at every self-made success story and every foundation named after a kind old grandfather a little differently. Let's start with the first secret, because once you understand it, everything else on this list will make perfect sense. Secret 1. They make themselves legally invisible. If you tried to find out what a billionaire actually owns, you'd hit a wall almost immediately. Not because it's hidden in some vault, because on paper they often don't own it at all. The house belongs to a trust. The trust is controlled by an LLC. The LLC is registered in a state that doesn't require you to list a real name. Ask a lawyer why, and they'll tell you it's asset protection. Ask what that really means, and it means this. If someone gets hurt on their property, if a business goes under, if a marriage ends badly, there's nothing with their name on it to take. They didn't get rich and then hide it. Hiding it was part of how they stayed rich. Secret 2. They weaponize privacy the way the rest of us use passwords. Unlisted numbers are the least of it. Some of the wealthiest families on earth run background checks on anyone who gets within arm's reach of their kids, nannies, tutors, even the kids' friends' parents. Household staff sign non-disclosure agreements before they're allowed to bring in the mail, not because there's some dark secret in every house, because once one person on the inside can talk, they all can. Silence isn't a personality trait up there, it's a contractual obligation. Secret 3, and this one's uncomfortable. A lot of wealthy families don't just protect their money from strangers, they protect it from each other. Behind the calm family photo on the foundation website, there is very often a decades-long, quietly vicious fight over control. Siblings who haven't spoken in years but still sit on the same board because the will requires it. Second wives frozen out by first children. Entire branches of a family that split off and build a rival version of the same business just to avoid sharing a table. From the outside, it looks like legacy. From the inside, family wealth is one of the most common reasons families stop being families at all. Secret 4. They hide the origin story. This is the one that should really make you uncomfortable. Go look up almost any old money name, the kind attached to a foundation, a scholarship, a museum wing, and dig back 2 or 3 generations. You will very often find something the family would rather you didn't know. A factory that got suspiciously cheap during wartime. A competitor who sold their business voluntarily while under enormous pressure. Land that was acquired from people who had no real choice in the matter. Fortunes don't usually start clean. They get cleaned up, and the cleanup is expensive. It's called reputation management, and old money spends more on it than almost anything else. Secret 5. They never actually spend their own money. This is the part that breaks people's brains. The ultra-wealthy very rarely sell their assets to buy things. Selling triggers taxes, and it triggers a paper trail. Instead, they borrow against what they already own. Stocks, real estate, art, all of it can sit there quietly gaining value, while a bank hands them a loan against it at a fraction of the interest they'd ever pay in tax. They live like this for decades. Buy assets, borrow instead of sell. And when they eventually pass those assets down, the tax bill on all those decades of growth can vanish completely. It's not a loophole. It's the entire system working exactly the way it was built to work, just not for you. Secret 6. They buy influence without ever putting their name on it, not with a check that says from your friendly local billionaire, through foundations that fund research, through donations routed via advisors so the money can't be traced back cleanly, through ownership stakes in media companies held by other companies. When you see a policy shift, a piece of legislation, a sudden change in public opinion that seems to come out of nowhere, very often, if you follow the money far enough, it doesn't come from nowhere at all. It just comes from somewhere they made sure you'd never think to look. Secret 7, and this might be the darkest one. Some of them don't want you to know how they treat the people who work for them, not their household staff, the people 3, 4, 5 layers down the supply chain. The factory, the warehouse, the farm. It's a lot easier to fund a wing of a hospital than it is to raise wages for the people actually making the product. And the further away those people are, the easier they are to forget. Wealth doesn't just get hidden from the public. Sometimes the worst of it gets hidden from the people funding it too, buried under enough subsidiaries and contractors that even the family at the top can say, truthfully, we didn't know. That's not always a lie. That's the system working exactly as designed. Secret 8. They train their kids to hide it too. This is the part almost nobody talks about. In a lot of ultra-wealthy families, children grow up having no idea how much money is actually there. Not because their parents are being modest. Because the moment a kid understands they're rich, something in them changes. Friendships get complicated, motivation disappears, and every relationship for the rest of their life comes with a question mark attached. So the money gets hidden from the heirs themselves. Kids get sent to normal schools. They're told to get a summer job like everyone else. Some families use what's called a silent trust, where the child doesn't even find out what they're set to inherit until they're 30, sometimes older. It sounds almost kind, teaching grit instead of handing over a blank check. But look closer and it's the same instinct running through everything else on this list. Control the information, control the outcome, and never let anyone, not even your own kids, see the whole picture at once. So here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all 8 of these. Extreme wealth doesn't just buy comfort. Past a certain point, it buys distance. Distance from consequences, from accountability, from the very people whose labor and land and lives built the fortune in the first place. And the richer someone gets, the more layers of lawyers and trusts and PR consultants get built around them, until eventually there's a version of them the public sees and a completely different version that only ever shows up in a courtroom or a leaked document decades later. None of this is a conspiracy theory. Almost everything I just told you is a matter of public record if you know where to look. Court filings, tax law, investigative journalism that took years to piece together. The secret was never that this stuff exists. The secret is that most of us never have a reason to go looking. So what do you do with this? You're probably not about to inherit a shipping empire, but understanding how the game is actually played changes how you see everything. The headlines, the self-made stories, the foundations named after people who never once mention where the money originally came from. It changes what you assume is true just because it looks polished. If this opened your eyes even a little, that's the point. Comment invisible if you want part 2, because this only scratches the surface. I haven't even gotten to what happens to that money after they die. And if you want to actually understand how this system works instead of just being affected by it, that's exactly what we're building on this channel. Subscribe, because the next one goes even deeper.